good sunny morning. My name's Lauren.
And I'm Ian.
And this is the Bars and Bells Studio and our weekend workout where we'll play with our body weight strength and work towards getting upside down.
I guess we'll also play with the intonation of our voices. But here we go. Let's get on the floor. Quick check-in on the wrists, the head, the neck, the ribs, the hips. And from there, Lauren will do all those core things on the floor. However you want to get to the floor though first. Toe squat like Lauren, maybe a drop lunge like me. Take your hands, place those fingertips on the ground, and then callus lines, full hands. At the moment, we'll wait for Lauren to close those blinds, but with your head neck, look between those hands, those elbows are straight, blood donations facing forward, and armpits pulled down and back. Next, at the head neck, look forward, extension of the neck. Then tuck a chin towards that sternum or chest. Repeat once more, extension looking forward, and flexion looking back towards those hands underneath. Still at the head, let's just go lateral bend, ear to shoulder, and ear to shoulder the other side. Pull down on that short side, in this case my right, to stabilize the movement, returning the other way. One last time, pull down, ear to shoulder, return to center. Lastly, let's just rotate, look over the right shoulder, pull the crown away from the spine as you rotate the other way. And one last time, breathe throughout, screw in those hands, check in on those wrists. Last time in the rotation, finish looking at the hands, then push through the floor and shake that out. Next, let's just do a quarter turn at those wrists, fingertips, calluses, and hands. Now the rib cage. Pull the shoulder blades together and extend as if pushing your heart or sternum forward. Then think flex, a kitten shape versus that big cat, round the shoulder blade, round the spine just a little bit. Then again, extend, and then flex. Return to the middle of those two ranges and then push the floor away and shake out those hands. For one last time, let's have those fingertips face the knees this time. Fingertips, calluses, and hands. That's a really tough position, so modify if you need. And this time, the anterior tip or a cow tip of the hip, pulling those femur heads in. And then again, that kitten shape versus the big cat, tuck under those hips, aiming to create tension between the hips and the ribs. Repeat again as we tip the tailbone back, tucking under, return to the middle of those two places, and then bend the elbows, peel the hands off, flick through the wrists, and shake it out. Nice.
Excellent. From here, we're going to get to our side lunge.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it just says hips at the end there, so I got thrown off.
Yeah.
Okay, to our side lunge here. What that means is we'll come down to the floor seated in a 90-90 position. So that front leg is in 90 degrees and that back leg's in 90 degrees, but we're in handstand class, so let's actually point those feet into that plantar flex or ballet point. From here, we're going to take our outside elbow and bring it down to the floor right away. That elbow should be in line with the hip and the elbow underneath the shoulder, nice and stacked. I like to just take this top arm and put it across my chest so it doesn't get confused. From here, we're going to think about extending that back hip or squeezing that back cheek forward. So squeeze that cheek and then also grow long out your spine and body. So you're reaching the crown of your head away, you're reaching that kneecap away, and you're extending that back hip for 3, 2, and then lightly relax. Let's do that again. Extend that back hip, pushing it forward, growing long out your head. Now we're going to add some rotation, but keep that back hip extended. From here, our head's going to look at the elbow on the floor, and then the shoulders are going to square up, and then the head will look up at the ceiling, and the shoulders will look up at the ceiling. Repeat again. Head looks at hand on the floor, and then shoulders square up, and then head rotates open, and shoulders rotate open, and that back hip still remains extended. And breathe. From here, let's take that front leg and just gently try to straighten it out. Once it's straightened out, maybe you stay on that elbow because that's hard enough, or come up to your hurdle-like position here. So in this hurdle position, we have that pointed foot out the front and the back, and right now we're trying to get our kneecap to face the ceiling. Then from here, could we lightly externally rotate that long leg out front so the inseam faces the ceiling, and then back to center, and then lightly internally rotate on that leg, trying to hide the inseam. Do that one more time, making sure that as you do this rotation, you're trying to do it from that femur or that long hip bone versus it doing from the ankle or that lower leg. Come back to where that kneecap faces the ceiling. Let's try to bend that leg, bringing it back into that 90-90, and then we'll switch sides. Try not to use your hands as you switch to the other side, to that 90-90 position. So same starting position as last time. We had those feet pointed, that knee in line with the hip, and we're squaring up to the front. Right away we found the elbow, and the elbow was in line with the hip, and the shoulders remained stacked. Let me just not get out of the frame here.
Yeah, make room for yourself on camera.
And then we'll take that top arm and just cross it across the chest. From here, right away, we extended the back hip, which means squeeze the cheek and press that hip forward, as well as growing out and reaching away from the center of your body. For 3, 2, and then lightly relax. Re-extend that back hip squeezing, arm across chest, shoulder stays packed. We'll keep that back hip extended. The head will rotate to look at the elbow on the floor, and then the shoulders will rotate closed. The head will then rotate open, and the shoulders then back open. Repeat again, that back hip remains extended, head and shoulders, and then head and shoulders. Keep that back hip extended. Let's gently try to straighten that front leg. Might feel different on this side, and that's okay. And then maybe press up into this turtle position. Again, you could stay on that elbow if it feels better. From here, we did our rotations each way. So we tried to externally rotate that leg or inseam face the ceiling, and then back to center and internally rotate that leg, hiding that inseam. Repeat again, rotating open from the femur, and then back to center and rotating in and to center. And then we'll bend that front knee, bringing it back in. And from here, we will
get into our splits. Sitting on your butt, open up those legs towards the side. The hip shapes that we practiced in the beginning of the warm-up, prioritize that anterior tip of the hip. We're sitting on the sit bones just like a bicycle. Maybe bumping up your bum on a yoga block or similar might help. From here, we won't spend too much time. We'll check in on this a little bit later. But here, as Lauren said, we either have our karate-style foot like me or that beautiful ballet point like Lauren, and sit nice and tall. Reach with the sternum, perhaps just tuck that chin, and push the heart forward. Take a breath. Do you know what this movement is called, Lauren?
Oh, I was doing this. You mean literally move.
Extension, yeah. It's called that pancake. Awesome. So from here, just come back up to a tall sit. Once more, maybe adjust those feet as you can. Push the sternum forward towards the floor.
And hinge.
As Lauren's doing, walking those hands forward. Take a breath. And return to a tall sit. From here, let's just go back to those wrists, Lauren, and do one quick first knuckle push-up. From all fours. Fingertips screwed into the floor. Blood donations are forward. Press into the first knuckles of the hand there, or the demi position if that was the foot, and slowly return the hand to the floor. Repeat. Press into the ground. First knuckle push-up, and slow the down with stiff elbows. Modify as you need by taking a step back with the knees to a modified planks position. Implore that full body tension, the bum squeezes, the core brace as you perform that once or twice more, up and down with control, and then press the floor away, shaking out those hands as we go. Let's go back to that split, Lauren, and then I think it's time to roll after that.
All right, we'll come back to that splits position. So find a place that's comfortable here, move those cheeks, and point those feet, because we're going to be doing handstands, so point them. Make them take tension right away. Now this time, instead of going forward and back here, we're going to slide a little side to side. So keeping our hips stationary, let's take our cage, our rib cage, and lightly try to slide it one way, and then stack it back on top. And slide it the other way, and stack it back on top. And as I'm doing this, those shoulders are staying parallel with the floor. So we're not a little teapot, but instead we're sliding versus tipping. One last time each way, and slide. And then we'll come back to center. Let's revisit that hinge forward one more time. So we have a nice long spine, that tailbone's tipping towards the ceiling, and we're keeping that spine straight as we hinge forward into our pancake, and then gently use those muscles to push yourself back up out of them. From here, we'll bring those legs together and we'll get into our first set of rolls. Our first set of rolls.
Excellent. I think that's my cue then. From here, set up the hands in a wide position. I would take a single hand, my left in this case, turning the palm up and placing it at my hip. Tucking a chin, looking towards the armpit, and reaching as if to roll to get the shoulder blade towards the floor. Take a breath, and then press through the hand. Return to that wide shape. Repeat on the other side. Turn a hand up. Look through the window at the back. Breathe, and press back. Adding on to this, we could turn the hand up at the hip. Look through the window, using the legs, pressing ourselves over, and performing our judo front roll. Or just as far as you can go and come back. Perform that a couple more times as Lauren turns her hand up at the hip, looking through the window.
Do I have room?
Reaching and rolling, you got room, and rolling through to either a squat or that nice tall sit. Once or twice more, Lauren's doing the advanced version. I'll continue doing the basic. A palm turns up at the hip. Look to sniff the armpit. Rolling pattern to get the shoulder blade to the floor. And then come back. And last one or two. Hand turns up at the hip. We look through. Shoulder blade connects to the ground. And then press back. How are those hands feeling? How are the body feeling? We got the warm-up going, but now it is time for some prone and supine holds, Lauren.
So we're coming down to the floor here, and we'll end up on our back for our first supine on your spine hold. In this position, let's have our feet on the ground to start. We'll add on to each level, making it progressively harder as we go. You can always stop at a level and stay there. Right now, our feet are planted on the floor. Our low back is neutral, meaning it's not ramming into the floor, but it's also not arching right off the floor. We have that core brace. With our arms out to the side, palms facing the ceiling, let's first lift our head and shoulders off the floor, connecting our ribs to our hips. As you do this, make sure that you didn't just ram that low back into the ground, but maintained that neutral spine. Hold for 3, 2, and then lightly relax. It's great if you just want to stay there, or we can continue to add on. So let's reconnect those ribs to hips and hold. And then maybe let's lift a knee up towards over our chest, and then gently place it down and repeat. All the while not losing that core tension. If single legs feel good, could we bring 2 legs up and hold? If 2 legs feel okay, could we extend 1 leg away from center and then bring it back in? And repeat on the other side. Extend 1 leg away from center and bring it back in, and either continue with that, or let's extend both legs out and just hold for 5 more seconds, and we'll do this longer the next time. 4, 3, 2, everything comes back in. Relax. Let's extend our legs out and extend our arms up towards overhead. From here, we're going to roll to our stomach, but with a rule. Take your right or your left hand, and whichever hand it is, sweep it down to brush that same hip. It's going to start sweeping across your body. Your head's going to go, your upper body's going to go, and you're going to end up on your stomach. In this prone hold, our arms are extended over top of our head. Your head is going to be looking down at the floor in front of you to keep a neutral spine. Your chest might be lightly, depending on who you are, pushing into the floor as you tuck your hips under to pull your belly button off the floor. Legs are nice and straight out behind you. And I like to think about pushing my arms into the floor as if I'm pressing myself up into my handstand. If I came through the screen here, your cheeks would be squeezed. You'd be tight like a board, and I could actually lift your whole body up into a handstand position for 4, 3, 2, then relax. We're gonna do that all one more time. So take your arm that you rolled over with, sweep it down to your hip, looking at it, following it with your eyes, head, shoulders. Roll to your back. Bring your knees in, feet bent on the floor, arms to the side to start. Connect your ribs and hips, lifting them off the floor. Then knees will come up. Progress as you'd like. If you can, extend those legs out. And now even further, extend those arms towards overhead. Now the checklist. Are your toes pointed? Are your legs tight together? Or would they pry apart if I tried to move them? Is your core still maintaining that tension? Is it starting to turn into your low back? Are your arms reaching long and are you breathing for 4? Are your cheeks squeezed? 2, 1, bring it back into center. Let it rest. If you can, let's roll the other direction, but if you're out of space, roll the other way. So you'll take that arm and it'll sweep across that same hip, across the midline, shoulder, head rolls, and you'll end up onto your stomach. From here, arms are extended, head is neutral, looking at the floor. Tuck those chesties if needed. Belly button off the floor, cheeks squeezed. I could drive a truck underneath that belly button, low ab area. Squeeze, brace. Imagine getting up from here into a handstand like a board. Breathe. 7 more seconds here. Everything's tight, pushing down. 3, 2, and relax. We'll take that hand, watching it as it sweeps our hip, our head and shoulder, rolls us onto our backside.
Nice. From here, there's no rules. Let's just stand up. We'll shake it out, check in, and we'll get back down to the floor. One of our favorite versions of a toe squat. I love those rolls. Thank you for including those rolls, Lauren. Debating on what we were going to put on that menu this morning. But rolls are nice to mobilize that spine. From here, let's get a first balance going. Stand on 2 feet. How are you doing? Great. Then find your 2-footed raise. Squeeze your cheeks, just like Lauren said, in that prone and supine holds there for the core. Are the knees straight? Drive down to go up and slowly return to the floor with straight knees. Then just press those knees over those toes. Maybe just bounce from side to side and then press those hips through. Find another stiff leg balance. Hold and slowly return. From here, we'll go knees over toes, then lift those heels and take your time descending. Knees to the ground, extend those hips through. And now, Lauren, it's that down dog time.
Okay. Do you want to practice our back row?
Oh.
The tricep burner?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I did.
Let's do one thing quickly before we do our planks. We're going to do one more set of core on the floor. And this time, it's not just core, it's also for those triceps. So we'll be lying down on our back. And eventually this will turn into a back roll. But for now, our arms are out onto the side. We're going to take straight is harder or bent legs and bring them up. You're going to continue pulling those legs up and getting them towards that overhead position. And then from here, slowly imagining one vertebrae at a time, lowering that body towards the floor and all the way back down.
Lauren makes it look easy. It's simple, but not easy. I'm going to give it a whirl as she cues us through again.
Let's try 2 more times here. So lying on our side, nice straight legs, arms are down. If you want, try it with bent knees first. Straight or bent, we lift them up towards the ceiling, pointed toes. Compress in, pulling yourself towards this plow-like position, I believe it's called, or one day a back row. Then, once there, slowly, one vertebrae at a time. Keep your knees as close to your body as you can as you descend back to your start position. And if we have one more for today, bring those legs up. Keep them tight. Use your arms a little bit into the floor, but try not to drive them so much down that you get a tricep cramp. Use your abs. And slowly descend to your start position.
I do love a good back roll, Lauren. Thank you for making time for that.
Now we'll flip into our down dog plank. So let's get into our plank. Hands are gripping underneath your shoulders, toes are tucked. First, let's tuck our hips under our ribs to hips in our plank position with our cheeks squeezed. Tight, tight, tight. Now, we're going to tip our tailbone to the ceiling. Leave both feet down for now, but tip your tailbone to the ceiling into your down dog elephant A-frame shape. Here, lengthening out those hamstrings. Now, we're going to pull ourselves back through to that plank, and on that plank, you reconnect the ribs to the hips. Adding on from here, this time we're going, as we go back, tip the tailbone, flick a foot, as if you're taking off for a handstand, and reach that leg long. Make sure your hips are square to the floor and that knee remains straight, and then pull yourself back through to your plank, tucking under. Retip the tailbone to the ceiling, flick the floor away. Reach long, but stay square to the floor. Pull yourself back to your plank. Let's do that one more time each side. Press, square up to the floor. Don't let yourself open up, and pull back through. And last time, flick, stay square. Come back to that plank position. And from here, just find your knees. Take a second off.
And let's just find ourselves back in our split. Take some time off those hands. How do the hands feel? We need to build that strength, mobility, endurance, all those exercise virtues here at every single joint, including wrists, elbows, shoulders, core. Nothing is too small to be forgotten. From here, let's just do one more set of that pancake. Why? Because we want that T-spine, rib cage, to be extended throughout our handstands practice. Push that heart, sternum towards the ground, either the karate foot or Lauren's awesome ballet foot there, pushing through and holding. Taking a breath in, and on an exhale, maybe getting a little longer or lower to the floor.
Do think about where your shoulder blades are as well.
Awesome. Keep them in retraction, I think Lauren is saying. Let's take our time and pull ourselves back up to tall. Repeat that just once more. Again, lead with that heart or sternum forward. Prioritize the length, the extension through the spine. The neutral head, so you're looking just in front of the body. And as Lauren alluded to, those shoulder blades are in retraction, meaning the $1 million bill hold. Squeeze it. Take your time. Then take our time coming out. Let's go one more set of our down dog planks, Lauren.
Okay, we'll come back to those down dog planks and repeat them again. Let's do 3 on each side here. So from that plank position, tuck and hold, and then we'll push the floor forward, flicking, staying square, pulling ourselves back to that plank. Flick, square up, heel towards the floor, and pull through. Really prioritize that back leg remains square, but also straight through the knee. Breathing, using that push and pull. As you pull yourself, you engage your lats, and then pressing away to lift back up. One more time on each side. As well, those hands are gripping the floor as they would in that handstand, so your weight is spread out in your fingertips and your callus line. Now, let's tip the tailbone to the ceiling and slowly walk our hands to our feet or our feet to our hands. Get as close as you can, and then stack yourself up, one vertebrae at a time. Head is last.
Excellent. Lauren alluded to the elephant, but we'll save most of our crawls till later in today's practice. As we're still somewhat fresh, let's review our favorite ways to get into the handstand, including Lauren's tripod variation, and then my favorite, the step in. How are you feeling? Ready to go on those handstands? If not, just spend time perhaps in that high plank. We go in this I go, you go style. Watch Lauren and then join me, or get going right with Lauren right away. Lauren takes her hands and she grips the floor, straightens the elbows, does her prep, and then sets up the shoulders over the wrists. A little baby kick.
Whoops, sorry.
A little kick. There we go. Work on the baby airs first. But once we have that, with softness, just like Lauren showed, then we're working on our tripod kick up to handstand. Keep those legs straight. As you can see, Lauren's toes are beautifully pointed. 5 or 6 repetitions here, just enough to check in and say, how's it going? We'll do 2 sets if that's allowed for you, Lauren, and then me. Let's go.
So if you were just watching that and you're joining Ian now, those hands are spread out on the floor. Then push your weight, your shoulders over top of your wrists before you even do your first takeoff. And then with that baby air and alternating legs ideally, because you should practice both sides, alternate those kick-ups for a couple. To prevent the over kick, keep that other leg behind you and you'll never go over. Breathing here and using that flick away from the floor as we did in that plank earlier.
The first set is sometimes the hardest, just getting used to things upside down. Let's go again, but take your time, work on quality reps versus so many. But here we go. Lauren's shoulders are over the wrists. The toes are pointed. She takes that little jump, finds midnight or straight up and down. There we go, that's the one. And returns to the other side. Lauren's scissoring that leg, nice and control. One up, then the other down. And try both. Perfect one, but try both.
All right, one more time for Team Ian here as he does his kick ups. So again, those hands gripping the floor. Push your hips and your shoulders over top of your hands. Otherwise, you're never gonna get stacked and you'll end up just at this weird 45-degree thing. They'll never get vertical. So breathing, alternating those feet, and again, flick the floor away with those toes. And once you're done, dismount with control.
Nice.
Shake it up.
We have a chair and a bar on the wall here. Let's take some time off those hands, work on straight leg techniques, and mobilize and strengthen the hips. So with your bar, chair, kitchen counter at your side, take a single leg and reach it forward. Turn out of the hip so that inseam is facing up, and then turn in on the hip to hide the inseam or have the kneecap face the middle. Repeat once more and turn out. From here, reach that leg out to the side, hips are forward, and same thing. Turn in on the hip so that the inseam faces to the floor, then turn out on the hip to have the kneecap face up. One more time, turn in. With that turn in, reach from that lateral position all the way to the back. Point the toe, get tall on the standing leg, flex over the toe, and bring it all the way through to the front. Then to the back. Stiff leg, point the toes, finishing out the back. Turn out of the hip. Leg goes from the back to the side, to the front, and extend those hips, returning the leg underneath. Add a little shake. Let's repeat that same effort on the other side. Stand tall, use your balance aid. Toe point to the front. Turn out, inseam up. Turn in, inseam down, and finish with the inseam up. Turn out. With the inseam up, turn it in or under, internally rotating on the hip, and then externally rotating, showing it forward. One more time is to turn it under, and then utilizing that turn in, we'll reach around the back, then over the foot, all the way through, stiff leg, pointed toes, and then extend the hip to the back with pointed toes as well. Open up, lateral leg facing, then to the front, and then extend those hips all the way through. That tripod variation is Lauren's favorite way to get up in the handstand. My favorite way is the step in.
So for the step in, you have your arms extended overhead first, and you've already created that hollow shape we've practiced. Then with that plank combination where you step, flick the floor with that back leg, and point towards the ceiling. Again, if you keep that back leg out behind you, you'll limit your chances of going over the wrong way. But we also want to think maybe about scissoring those legs or alternating your takeoff leg as you're doing this. Notice here that Ian is almost going up and over something to land onto his handstand versus, again, attacking the floor at that 45-degree angle, because that won't help you. So think up and over, absorb the floor with your hands as you'd like to hold your hands when you're in your handstand position.
That's right. Shake it out in between, and high-quality reps, low numbers of reps might be the best. Lauren's pointed the toes. The hands accept that floor, and we're reaching to get nice and tall. Celebrations include the quiet factor, the control factor, the being able to take a breath while upside down as well. So many things to go on here. Take time, listen and feel for those wrists and the body parts that are enjoying this, or they're saying that maybe 5 or 6 is just enough. Check it out. This is my favorite way to step into the handstand, so I want to do one more set. Does that sound good?
Yeah, we did 2 of the last one.
All right, let's do it.
Keep switching up your angles, though. This isn't as usual ways. So again, with that step in, those arms are up overhead. And when you get into this position from here, I like to think about being in that hollow hold we were on our back right here. And then when you step in, you've already maintained that hollow position. Again, think a little bit up and over so that you're getting to that stacked position. If you keep diving at the floor at that 45, you'll never get there. Last comment, have those hands open and ready to take the load.
You got it. Fingertips, calluses hands, and then push away the floor, flicking the wrists as well. Every body part is considered here in the handstand, a beautiful and a fun full body movement. Nice, Lauren, with those pointed toes and a little stall. Same thing, Lauren, scissoring those legs too. Up with one, down with the other, and listening for the breath as well. There's so much going on. Remember to breathe. I love my first version of the leg bar. Can't wait to see what Lauren has planned for us in this variation. Take it away.
All right. In this variation, we're going to do similar, but on a slightly bent, or not slightly bent, with a bent leg. So tall in the inside leg. Let's bring our outside leg up, touching the inseam of our pants right now with our foot. And right now it's low at our ankle. From here, stay tall, hips square and level. Gently pry that leg open to the side, creating the number 4. When that leg's open to the side, let's stay here for a second and just hold it. So we're trying to push that knee even more to the side. Stay tall on that standing leg and gently push your hips forward. Now to bring it back to center, use that adductor to close. Either stay or slide up a little bit towards your calf belly of that bottom leg. Same thing. Calf belly, yeah, we still have more to go. Pry that leg open to that number 4 position. Tall on that inside leg, hips forward, hold it here. Keep trying to push the knee to the side and then use your adductor to close. One more time, slide up a little bit more and then gently pry open, knee to the side, holding, 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 and then adductor, bring it back to center. This time, let's keep our knee bent, brush the quads to parallel, and hold this position for a second. As we're holding here, hips are level, so pull that outside leg likely up into the socket. Try to get your heel as close to your butt like you're crushing a peach behind your knee. Hold, and then gently extend, straightening that leg underneath. Whew. Shake that out,
That's right.
And we'll repeat on the other side. So again, tall, gripping the floor with that standing leg foot, and let's peel that foot up off the floor, start low with that ankle position. From here, gently pry the leg open, knee to the side, hips push forward. Again, that knee is just holding here for a second, trying to open the leg a little bit longer, and then use that adductor to bring it closed. Slide it up a little bit to the muscle belly of your calf, and then gently pry the leg open. Hold. Keep sending the leg to the side as the hips push forward. Tall on the inside leg. Adductor, bring it back to center. One more time, up a little higher, and then pry that leg open. Knee to the side, hips forward, holding for 3, 2, and then adductor brings it back to center. Keeping the knee bent, brush it back to parallel, and hold. As we're holding this position, our heel is close to our butt. We're slightly tucked under, so we're not arching our low back to do this, but this is all from our hamstring for 3, 2, and then gently unload that, straightening the leg underneath. Whew.
Excellent. Lauren, I think there's time for one more of your favorite way to get into your handstand.
Excellent.
What do you think?
Yes, well, we know my favorite way.
Well, we know Lauren's favorite way is that tripod. So if you're ready to do your tripod, go ahead and do it with Lauren here, or listen to some of my cues to help you in the next time. Do it, Lauren. If you happen to get upside down, let's celebrate that, whether it's happy accident or very intentional moment, and enjoy the handstand upside down. The tripod, it's that leg that kicks with the shoulder blades stacked over wrists. Flick the toe, hold for time, find your balance, push down to grow tall, and don't forget to squeeze the cheeks and to take some breaths. Wonderful, Lauren. My turn, my turn, my turn. So well done.
You can go.
There we go. There we go.
Go ahead.
I can go, just to make sure that it wasn't a freeze frame. We're still here.
All right.
Great job, Lauren. Okay, here we
Ian's
go.
turn to
Step
do
in.
the kick up. So whatever you're doing, pick one. Or practice them all. It's fun too. But if we're trying to go for time here or to eventually find that balance, it's taken a long time to get to that freestanding, and we'll do some more work on the wall. So for now, working on that kick up and just trying to find a couple seconds of upside down happiness. In that time, hopefully you realize how much your hands are actually working to balance you. If you're going over, your fingers are pushing back. And if you're going back, the base of your hand is trying to press you forward. You have a cheek squeeze, but not cheeks too much. Because if I squeeze my cheeks too much, I get sent the wrong way.
It's finding the right balance.
It's loaded back there.
It's been a while since we've done our handstands, truthfully. So that's probably enough for today. But to get to the handstands, it takes that time under tension and learning the crawls. Lauren's alluded to that down dog, A-frame, house shape. Share it once more in our crawling variation.
Okay, let's get there via our forward fold. Give yourself a little bit of room in front of you so we can take a couple steps forward. In our forward fold, we'll tuck our chin and we'll slowly roll ourselves forward. My latest example is that you're in an alleyway and it's really skinny and you're trying to tie your shoes between two buildings. So try to keep your weight stacked over top of your feet and not pushing your hips back behind you. Once you're in your fold position, walk yourself out to your down dog elephant. Actually, from there, I lied. Let's bend our knees and come down to a bear hover position. So our knees are just off the floor. Tip your tailbone to the ceiling. Keep that tailbone tip as you now lift the hips up gently, maybe straightening the knees, but maybe not, because once you straighten your knees, I want your tailbone to still remain long. Now, from here, we're going to take our opposite hand and foot and take a step forward. As we do those steps, think about how you accept the floor with your hand as you would when you land your handstand. You're pushing off the floor and then your fingertips, callus, palm. Pushing off the floor, fingertips, callus, palm. Couple steps forward, and if you have the room, could you go backwards to where you came from? Same thing, peeling your hands up off the floor. Breathing, prioritizing that long tailbone. Now, to work on our compression, let's walk our hands as close as they can get to our feet, trying to keep them flat on the floor. And then we'll stack ourselves up again, one vertebrae at a time, all the way to tally tall. And take a second.
Take some time off those hands.
Do a hair flip.
Put some attention, hair flips, and time for something with those hips. The split's pretty darn intense, and that can be made more accessible by performing movements like our squats in Chico. Let's pull ourselves to your low squat, and again, work on other kinds of weight transfers and balances as well within our handstand practice. Find our single leg, then point. Toe ball heel, accept the ground, press through, other side. Hold for a second, point those toes, toe ball heel, and repeat. Once more, climb the leg if you can. Then point, accept, and again, hold, climb, control, absorb, power to tall. Other things that can help our splits and squats include that lizard crawl, Lauren. Let's do that next.
All right, the lizard crawl. This time, let's use our hinge to get to the floor. So feet slightly wider than your hips, tailbone lightly tips back, nice long spine. Vertical shins for now. Feel that load through the hamstring. And then we'll tip forward and we're gonna end up in our plank. With our feet out behind us and our shoulders, hands under our shoulders, let's bring a foot up beside our hand. Right here, a couple things when we're in this position. Let's think about what we want from this position, and what that is we want a nice long spine, as well as a straight back leg. As well, we're reaching energy out this front knee, shooting it out the window, and reaching energy out the back heel, like you're splitting yourself in half. Reach away from center. Now, pull that power back into center as if you're pulling your feet together for 3, 2, that should give you enough power you could almost hover that foot up off the floor and place it back behind you. Repeat on the other side. Foot comes up. First, we got long in our spine, and then we got long in that back knee, and we reached away from center, out the front knee, out the back heel. Then we pulled that tension energy back in, tried to lift the foot, and place it back where we got it. Continue in the stationary pattern, or you could add on this time. Let's reach away from center first, And then when we pull back in, you could push off your back foot and walk yourself forward into another plank. And that foot that's still off the floor now comes up to that hand position. Breathe, reach away from center first, then pull back in. And now let's bring that other foot up to the hand to end up in our low squat. Hang out for a second, nice long spine, lift it up, and then up to tall.
To tall.
And shake.
And shake. One last set of that Chico squat today. Handstands, hand balances. The balance component, practice in other ways, whether it's a club or a stick on your hand, juggling, or our Chico squat for today.
Tight ropes.
Let's pull ourselves down.
All are welcome.
Those last two examples aren't necessarily ones that we do. But from here, push.
Tight ropes?
Tight ropes and juggling as much. Climb, extend, toe ball heel, power, climb, extend, toe ball heel. Let's go 2 more repetitions. But this time, take an extra second or 2 and really lean and reach and challenge your range. Toe ball heel, come back, climb, extend the standing leg hip, tip back just that little bit, and then up to tall. Shaking things out. 40 minutes, something along those lines is how we like to spend our first moments on Saturday, but not before coffee. Coffee before and some coffee after now. So thank you for joining us this morning, either live at 8 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube or in the archive.
Anytime thereafter. My name's Lauren.
I'm Ian.
This is the weekend workout where we play with our strength. And next week we'll get back with our belt and our bar training. And before then, though, we have a morning routine for you tomorrow morning. So stay tuned to that. Thanks for joining. Take care. Stay strong and train soon.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.